Hey everybody, welcome to Turks and Jerks. Ben Mankiewicz, that is Jason Rubin, Lindsay McCormick. Nice to meet you. We met before, but nice to do the first show with you. Hope it's the first of many. Lindsay spent some time working for Sunday Night Football last year and has a resume longer than mine, which is amazing because she looks like she's 17. Which makes her look like the second oldest person on this panel before you start laughing. All right, so let's begin Turks and Jerks. Why don't we start with Turks? Jason will begin over here.
So my Turk of the week, it was tough. I want to take yours, but I'm not. And I've been picking wide receivers nonstop, and Dez Bryant, I think, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And now that Calvin Johnson's back, it's going to be exciting to see them go head-to-head, at least numbers-wise, at the end of the season, and who's the better receiver in the NFL. But what Dez Bryant was, granted it's the Jacksonville defense, but when you pick apart a defense like that on that 40-yard seam weave in, out, into the end zone, he stretches for the end zone every single time. He finds his way in there. It's just maybe the most enjoyable receiver to watch in the NFL, and that's why I'm considering the best receiver in the NFL, but he's put together a hell of a 2014 campaign.
6 for 158 and a couple of scores in the first half.
Yeah.
That's amazing he didn't play for the Packers.
Right.
Do you have a problem with him missing curfew, all his off-the-field antics? I mean, because I'm kind of tired of hearing about all the off-the-field stuff, especially when he performs like he did this past weekend.
It's not a good sign moving forward, and I mean, granted, there's always off-the-field antics with the Dallas Cowboys, but until he starts playing at a lesser level than he is, then I'll consider it a problem. But for now,
if Alan Hearns misses curfew, right, I don't think everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the same thing. So first of all, the fact that he's with the Cowboys means that those off-the-field issues are exaggerated because it's always more of a story. Right. Mm-hmm. That said, you can always get past stuff like that by performing. And critically, it's not just performing that he does. You mentioned it about like always stretching for the end zone. But Dez he plays so hard. Yeah. And so that makes up for a lot of nonsense. I mean, if he looked like Jay Cutler out there, right? And I don't know, and we'll get into this a little later, but if he looked, I don't know if Jay Cutler cares because everybody shows it differently, but I can say, look, I've seen 10,000 sporting events. Jay Cutler looks like he doesn't care. Yeah. Fair or unfair, people aren't making that up. That's how he looks, but I don't know what's in his heart. That just may be the kind of person he is or the kind of athlete he is. The look isn't necessarily revealing. But if there was a perception that Bryant ever loafed, then the mistakes off the field would be exacerbated. But he never looks like it. Quite the opposite. He's exactly the kind of guy you want to surround yourself with. He's a leader. I mean, hard to imagine we say this about Dez Bryant, but that kind of behavior from your star player, that kind of performance and effort. So even when he walked off the field with 13 seconds to play or whatever it was, and everybody got mad, he was pissed. Yeah. He was pissed that they lost, right? You've never had a problem. Never an issue.
Slamming their bats, throwing their helmets.
Anger reveals a desire, and I think we all like to see that.
I've always, last season when the Cowboys played the Eagles, I stood behind Dez Bryant behind their bench. And the rest of the team, it was towards the fourth quarter, the rest of the team was sitting there and Bryant was pacing back and forth pissed and nobody wanted to mess with him. So in that sense, he's a leader too because his energy, right, he wants to win so bad and that rubs off on the rest of the team.
I'm sure there's videos out there where I've criticized him. In a sense, I'm backtracking, I'm wrong, I think, on Dez Bryant. I mean, and you didn't have quite enough information and I hadn't seen the effort part of it then. So then he just looked like a malcontent. Right? And selfish. But I now think I was wrong, and obviously performance has something to do with it. But I think if I looked at those anti-Dez Bryant videos now, I think I would regret them.
So I have two. I have an honorable mention.
It's the first show. She's breaking the rules. No, I just do whatever.
I'm Dez Bryant, okay? As long as I perform,
I'm doing whatever I want.
Start pacing back and forth in front of the camera.
I don't care. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
So my honorable mention is going to be Peyton Manning because, of course, after 2 interceptions, to bounce back like that and have 5 touchdowns, are you kidding me? And so that's a given.
It did look briefly like that might be one of those weird Peyton Manning games where he just isn't in the flow. For choking, you can't even call it choking against the Raiders. It just would have been like they whatever scheme they had got into his head, and He had the feet wrong and everything.
Well, for a
but-
brief moment,
yeah.
I thought I was watching him like in the playoffs.
Right,
So I got a little nervous, but then he picked things back up.
That's a fair honorable mention. By the way, we've all you're fitting right in. We've all frequently been like, I want to mention 6 people in Turks of the Week. All right. So Peyton Manning,
then-
honorable mention. Who wins?
Patrick Peterson. I mean, the guy had a legal contact penalty, was pissed about it. And then the next 2 plays, interceptions, and his first defensive touchdown.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat that it's his
Yeah.
first defensive. Did he tip the ball too first? I saw a quick replay
Was
of
there a
that.
tip drill? I don't think there.
No, one of them there was a tip.
He didn't tip it though. Somebody else
somebody
tipped
else
it,
tipped
and
it.
then he caught it.
Yeah, so
and
I was
ran it.
wondering whether because the tip and you get it yourself and return it for touchdowns is like the ultimate. It's like
Yeah.
blocking the punt. and catching
No,
it.
that's
It's
his
like
goal for next
Jason
week.
Sehorn way back when he went for the interception up and juggles in front of his hand. He's falling back, grabs it, gets up, and finally runs 5 yards.
I don't remember who that is.
Jason Sehorn?
I'm kidding.
Yes, you
Jason.
do.
Everybody knows Jason Sehorn.
But then for some reason, after he had those 2 interceptions, I felt like, and I don't know if the rest of America felt this way too, I felt like the Cardinals were going to win the Super Bowl, even with Drew Stanton.
Yeah, they're not. Here's what's the problem with both those plays, is that in a rough gambling day that I only made slightly less rough at the end, right, with a great Jay Cutler bet that I was correct but needed luck to win. I had the Cardinals-Rams under, and it was 43.5, and it was like there's 17-14, there's 5 minutes to play. Like, that's not a game you're likely to lose. And I could handle 1 defensive touchdown in the last 5 minutes and still get the under. I could not handle 2. So that was an irritating gambling loss. So for that, I could never make Patrick Peterson my Turk of the Week. My Turk of the Week I picked in the first half of the first games because I just thought it was exactly the kind of play that I invented this segment for. Years ago, Roddy White of the Falcons, Matt Ryan threw a pick. I think Nate Clements picked it off for the Niners and was running it back for the game-winning touchdown at the end of regulation. I feel like it might even have been overtime. And he was gone. It was done. And Roddy White ran from the other half of the field and tackled Clements inside. You'd think it doesn't even matter. They just kick a field goal and win inside the 10. Mm-hmm. And he fumbled. Clements fumbled. And the Falcons recovered and drove down the field and kicked a winning field goal. And you had to know the Falcons were close to scoring, so he ran the length of the field from the opposite side of the field. So Ryan Tannehill essentially did that in the first half against the Lions. His pass was picked off by
Ihedebo.
Ihedebo, right?
Ihedebo.
Thank you. You've been to his charity golf tournament.
Not golf tournament, but he does like a different charity thing for the NFL draft every year.
I have not been to any charity events with James Ihedebo. So he picks it off. He's the Lion safety. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he is an NFL defensive back. And he's running it back for a touchdown, would apparently going to be a touchdown. And Tannehill runs him down. Now, we talked last week on the RotoWire segment that Chris Liss was recommending that Tannehill's an okay play because there's 30 to 40 yards in him, and that remember he came up as a wide receiver. He's got some speed.
A lot of speed.
So he ran him down, saving the touchdown. Not only did he run him down, but Ihedebo face masked Tannehill on the tackle, and he still made the tackle. I mean, granted, the touchdown wouldn't have counted because of the face mask, but nonetheless, he was determined to make the tackle. He's got his face, and he still tackled an NFL defensive back after he threw a bad pick. So I love that commitment. And then it mattered because either the next play or 2 plays later, Brent Grimes made a darling interception of Matt Stafford in the end zone. And then the Dolphins took that drive and kicked a field goal. That's a 10-point swing. And until the last 20 seconds of that game, that literally looked like it was going to win the game in a critical road win for the Dolphins. They didn't get it because Stafford made a great throw and Theo Riddick made a great read.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just the catch. It was the recognition as the play broke down to leave the flat and run by his man and then make a great catch on a good throw. Stafford's incompetent way of throwing working to his benefit on that play.
Something so damn respectable about quarterbacks who start and finish a bad play. How many times do you see a quarterback throw an interception or fumble and sit there on the ground, punching the ground, or walk off the field, walk the opposite way off the field as the defensive back is running it back for a touchdown?
And I don't totally think that it's necessarily a bad play, depending on, like, I don't want Peyton Manning. I don't want Aaron Rodgers remotely involved in running a guy down with the backside, blindside blocks that these guys are getting hit with. So I get it, but his competitor, and first he's Ryan Tannehill, he's replaceable. I'm just kidding. You win. You're Turk of the Week.
Lately he's been playing like he's not irreplaceable.
No, he's a first-round pick, and he's getting better. He's delightful. I instantly regret that. I retract it. No, it was a ballsy play, and as a competitor, he took over and he ran him down, and I liked it. I liked it a lot, and it made a huge difference. And in a sense, I had the Lions in a number of things, won against Chris, and I also bet him. So I liked the outcome of that game, but I wanted that play to be the winning play for the Dolphins, and it almost was. So, but Tannehill gets my Turk of the Week.